Quaid Azam, Part 267. Bulabai Desai had, in the meantime, come to meet Wavell. This was on 15 November 1944. Desai then suggested the formation of a national government under the 1935 Constitution, with members drawn from the existing legislature. A precondition, of course, was the release of the imprisoned members of the Congress Working Committee and replacement of Session 93 governments, that is, the end of the governor's rule. In Desai's next meeting with the private secretary to the Viceroy, Sir George Abel, on 12 January 1945, he conveyed that he had the agreement of both Gandhi and Jinnah on his proposals of coalition governments. As this sounded encouraging, the Viceroy informed the government back home about it. He also invited Desai to elaborate his proposals in person. Recording, I think it may be an advantage in some ways that the approach has come from an Indian side. A week later, on 20 January 1945, Wavell met Desai to assess the proposals as well as to ascertain for himself the support that Desai had, for he was not convinced of the backing that these proposals had. But he was curious enough to cable London that he proposed to see Jinnah also in this connection. If the government so agreed, the government in London agreed but raised some routine queries. Thereupon, the Viceroy, in personal message, responded that this was the best chance they have had for a long time, or were likely to have, to make a moderate advance on the Indian problem, that they had better take it at once, not worry too much details of the comparisons with Cripps' offer and such like. The government gave its assent, but as Jinnah was too busy then to come to Delhi, Wavell authorized the governor of Bombay, Sir John Colville, to see him in Bombay itself and ascertain his views on the side proposals. At this meeting, Jinnah astonishingly disclaimed all knowledge of the Liaquat's talk with Desai. Wavell felt this was a falsehood on part of Jinnah, though Jinnah did convey that he was prepared to consider such an offer, that he would be in Delhi on 6 March 1945 and would then also be available for a discussion. Accordingly, Jinnah was to have met Wavell on 7 March 1945, but having again taken ill, could not. The importance attached to this meeting by the British government can be gauged by Wavell's frustration with His Majesty's government's reluctance to call him to London for immediate consultations. I don't intend to let them use Desai and Jinnah as reasons for delay. After all, the principle of my going home for discussion was accepted long before Desai's proposals came up. And it is the mind of HMG that I want to know rather than the minds of Desai and Jinnah. Desai's approach was in reality irksome to the soldier viceroy, for he, Desai, along with Liaquat, had regularly operated in assembly to almost routinely defeat the government. Wavell observes in his journal, Desai and Liaquat are obviously out to show me that I had better get rid of my executive council and give them the loaves and the fishes. I am told that Desai has been offering portfolios to his friends. I have made up my mind not to see Desai again before I go home about an official announcement of his visit to London for consultations. Wavell was chary, apprehending that it could appear as a sudden decision, and that too because of the Desai proposal. In any event, Wavell had his own plans as well as the copy of the Desai Liaquat agreement when he left for London on 22 March 1945. Meanwhile, two Muslim League's ministries lost their majorities in the provinces. Sardar Aurangzeb Khan's cabinet in the frontier fell,